Welcome to Get Moving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Lend and I serve as your host. I live in the city of Ojai, and there's so many things that happen here in terms of events. We have the events at the Libby Bowl, we have the Ojai Music Festival, we've got blues festivals, Shakespeare, we've got plays, we've got it all. And there's a certain hub of the movie theater and the Village Jester. So we're here today with Nigel from the Village Jester, who I think participates in just about all of that, or certainly the people who come through here. Last time I was here, I was sitting at the table over there, and I think someone was from the one of the Ojai plays, something to do with Alice in Wonderland or something. This wild, raucous crowd, suddenly someone comes over and says, "I thought I recognized you." I don't know what else to say. I mean, I look like somebody. I don't know who it is I look like, but so I nodded my head very gently, and "I loved you in Much Ado About Nothing." Now, the person I was with is going, what's going on here? So, okay, nodded my head up and down. "Are you ever thinking of doing something besides Shakespeare?" I said, and she moved on. So, for the benefit of that young woman, I am an ass, although the master does not write me so, which is Dogberry. I think you mistook me for Richard Winterstein. That wasn't me. So I'm here today with Nigel. And Nigel, I know you're in a play right now, in addition to the nightly performance here. Where is this playhouse? Tell us about the Ojai Playworks, how you got involved.
It's quite a story. You're quite right. Thanks for asking me to do this, first of all, Chris. I appreciate it. And you're dead right. This is a nightly performance at the bar with all of the stuff. The moustache that I'm carrying at the moment is for Fiddler on the Roof, the Ojai Arts Centre, and it runs through August 11th. We've had 2 weekends now, sold-out shows every time. So I play the constable in this particular role. Of course, he's an evil guy. I seem to be cast as evil guys quite often. Can't imagine why. Maybe I can imagine why. And it's obviously the show of the Jewish community in certain towns in Russia being forced out and purged. And I represent the Russian establishment, and so I get to do all the bad things that we shouldn't like very much.
Well, we all try and put meaning into life, and is this new for you? When you were a small child, were you an actor as well?
Acting? Absolutely not. I started acting about a year ago. First show was Oliver, and I had a somewhat painful experience of acting and singing in public when I was 11 years old, and I chose never to do it again in my life. And actually, when I was 11, the show that was being produced was Oliver. And so about a year ago, Oliver cropped up here, and I'd turned 50 years old, and I thought it was a good time to slay that dragon. And so I went for the audition for Bill Sykes, bad guy, with no expectation whatsoever. All I expected was to audition and be done with it and knock that one off the list. And apparently I did okay, and I got the role, and I found out that I loved being on stage, and apparently I didn't embarrass anybody else. So that was the inception of it. And after that I did Grease. I did The Provoked Wife, which is a 17th century English restoration play at one of the other theatres in town, which is OES, Ojai Youth Theatre. Can't quite remember what it's called. That was fun, and now we're doing Fiddler. And we just had the first reading for Streetcar Named Desire last night, and Ron Feltner is the lead in that. So it's quite an active part of my life at the moment, and I do enjoy it.
Well, Ojai there's so many people who are here in the later part of their lives with incredible experience. Who's your acting coach? How if it's something new for you for the last year?
Everybody who's acting is my acting coach, because I'm not an actor. It's just something that I wanted to try and to see how it went. But I've been fortunate, very fortunate, in every role that I've played. There have been amazing actors on the stage. Richard Koeman, who is the artistic director at OES, he was Fagin in Oliver, and he's an acting teacher at a university down in Los Angeles. So it was just an acting class every time I stepped on the stage with him. In The Provoked Wife, Ron Feltner, who's playing the lead in Streetcar Named Desire, and David Rogi. Ron went to acting school up in San Francisco. David Rogi is an equity actor. And so I was sharing the stage with those guys. And so every time we had rehearsal, it was another acting class there. In Greece, Buddy Wilds, who's local acting celebrity god, then he was in that, so he was teaching me all sorts of stuff there. And now in Fiddler on the Roof, John Medeiros, who's an incredible improv guy, is the lead. He's playing Tevye in Fiddler. And again, I'm just absolutely blessed to have these incredible actors around me who just teach me so much. And you couldn't pay for the type of experience I'm having. And now in Streetcar Named Desire, Ron Felton is playing the lead in that. Ron Rizak's in it, Buddy Wilds, Tracy Sutton Williams is in it, and it's been directed by Tom Eubanks. These are people who know what they're doing, and they're grateful. I'm grateful that they brought me into their fold and allowed me to learn and grow on that level.
What's this? It's such a small town, but with such big things that occur here. But one of them is the nightly performance. So, what's it like to own an establishment, keeping all these young people in line and providing an evening? I know you have a number of special nights. I think there's one behind me in the camera field now, something about Wednesday. So what kind of special things do you do here, and how do you bring joy into people's lives and be constantly on stage here?
Well, you are on stage here, whether it's me or anybody else. And the people that you see behind the bar, I think any bar or restaurant, that's not the person who you get when they're out of the environment. It is an act, but it's not a conscious act as if you're on stage. You just turn into a slightly different person. The Jester is a concept. So I've lived in America for 30 years nearly, and I've lived all over this country, and I could never find a place that I felt was home to me, a place where you could go in, call your local. And everybody has a bucket list. I'm no different to anybody else. And so I decided to knock one of those things off, which was to buy a bar. This one came with a restaurant, which I wasn't too worried about, and it's proved very challenging. But what I was trying to do was create a local. Ojai didn't have one. There was no place where people felt it was their home to go to. And so the challenge for myself was, how do we create that? What do we need to put in place in order for people to come in and feel like home? And one of those things is to make it welcoming for people, to make the atmosphere friendly and comfortable for all different types of people. And so in the Jester, one of the things I'm most proud of is that we have a huge demographic. We have children come in here, we have our age, we have 21-year-olds, and we have 80-year-olds come in, and they all enjoy the space. Sometimes at the same time, sometimes at different times. On Tuesdays, we have a trivia night, and that's older people, maybe 40 and above, and we pack the place with that. Wednesdays, we have a mixed crowd because we have music and really cheap Wednesdays. We're starting a young person's trivia night on Thursday, which there'll be a yard of ale drinking competition involved in that, sponsored by Surf Brewery down in Ventura. And Friday and Saturday, we have live music with bands and all sorts of different bands. The space itself lends itself to a lot of different entertainment. We have karaoke, which I go up and terrorize people with every now and then.
Well, I've heard you sing karaoke. I think your father just had a birthday, and what did you do for him as a special?
I do sing a little bit, not very well, I don't think, but we're blessed in this town with so many talented people. And there's a gentleman called Dustin Biley, who's a studio engineer, amongst other things, and Jonathan McEwen, who I'm sure you know. Jonathan's dad was John McEwen from the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and Jonathan is an incredible person and guitarist, amazing voice. And we were sitting having a drink in here one night, and I'd mentioned that it was my dad's 90th birthday, and I wanted to maybe lay down a couple of tracks, and I was just talking, nothing more, I was just talking. And they looked at each other and they said, "Let's do it." I said, "What?" They said, "Well, pick your songs, we'll take you into the studio, we'll provide all the backing instrumentation for you, we'll master it, we'll do everything, and we'll get that CD for you to your dad." And I'm somebody who has trouble accepting gifts from other people, but I accepted this one gratefully, with both hands and very quickly. And we followed through. So within a week, it was only 10 days before I went to England, and within a week we're in the studio, a local studio. They've got everything set up. I go, we do whatever they do in the studio, which is really nerve-wracking for myself. I went off to England, my dad's 90th birthday, the whole family got together in a hotel in Lincolnshire, and Dustin had uploaded the tracks to the internet, and so I downloaded them there and played them during my dad's 90th birthday. So it was a fantastic time, and Ojai is a really special community. People help each other out all the time. If you need something, they're there for you. And I would like to think that I'm there for people too, if and when they need me to help them.
And those were Sinatra songs?
They
as
were
I
Sinatra
recall?
songs, yeah. I grew up, my musical taste is huge. From Ella Fitzgerald and Bing Crosby and Sinatra, all the way to AC/DC and everything in between. My dad's a huge Sinatra fan. I remember Sunday mornings he'd cook breakfast and sing Sinatra songs, and maybe Perry Como would be on the record player or something. So I know all those songs, and they were. Can't recall which ones they were right now, but it was fantastic to sit there and watch my dad listen.
I don't have a television at home, so I'll come down here for sports events, and sometimes you'll be singing along, drowning out my poor football or basketball teams. So a lot of things happen behind the bar, and we've talked a little bit about maybe some interesting things that have occurred in this bar. What kind of other bar stories have you got?
Well, there's plenty of bar stories in every bar, and nothing happens in here.
It's like Las Vegas. That's good.
Right. What happens in here stays in here. Nothing crazy goes on here. Well, that's not quite true.
Right.
Sometimes crazy things go on here, but it's a bar. People come in to let their hair down, but what they do expect, and they should have a right to expect, is that nobody talks about it. And so I'm gonna honor that. But we have plenty of famous people come through the doors, and they like this space because nobody cares. We're happy to have them in here, and we're honored that they've chosen to come in here. The best thing about this place is it's a party every night, and it's a different type of party every night. I look around sometimes and I see the quality of the music on the stage, and seeing how happy people are and dancing and singing and talking. It just fills my heart, it really does. And one of the things that I enjoy the most is to see people communicating. You go into a lot of bars these days and people are on their phones and they're not talking to the people who they came into the restaurant or the bar with. And this is an environment where people actually will put their phones down and talk to each other. We have sports on the TVs because, you know, I'm a sports guy, but the sound's never turned up. It's always music, so that it doesn't drown people out. But I like my space. I would come here, and that was the whole point of it. I would come to this bar and sit and enjoy it. And I'm blessed that Ojai feels the same way, including yourself.
Yes. I remember my wife walking out of here one time looking at two young people on the couch going, "You guys are going home together tonight." And both of them, "Oh, we're just friends," and sure enough, they went home together. So,
how do you know that?
So
what happens in the Jester stays in the Jester.
That's exactly right. Well, in terms of, we talked a little bit about Surf Brewery. What other kinds of beers do you serve here, and local cuisine? Robin, who comes with me here, loves the steak. I, of course, am very upset when there's no Jester chili, and I know there was going to be a visit from Roadhouse Diner that you turned down to get at that Roadhouse Jester chili. So what is the secret behind Jester chili? Oh, it's staying here again.
Yeah, it's staying here again. The chili is a complicated one because obviously I'm not American, and chili is a quintessentially Mexican-American type thing. But it's full of loads of different things. But I don't always have it, as you know, because I'm the one that makes it, and I don't. Even the kitchen staff don't know how to make it. And in fact, as soon as we finish this, I have to go and make some because we're out of it. So we'll have it at about 7 o'clock tonight. But we do a fantastic chicken pot pie in here, as you know, the shepherd's pie. People think we're a British pub, but we're not a British pub. We're a pub, and I define a pub as a local where you feel comfortable and you want to go there. So almost like Cheers, more like Cheers than a British pub. We just happen to have some British food because I'm British.
Well, and vegetarian food because you're in the British part of Ojai as well. So your curries are...
We do a great curry.
Yes.
We do a lot of vegetarian options in here, actually. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but this is Ojai. And you have to offer as much as you can to as many people as you can. And we do that generally speaking across the board in here. It's, as I said before, this place brings in a lot of different people, huge demographic, and I'm immensely proud of that. And you have to do the same thing with your menu. You have to offer a lot of different things to people also.
And back to the beers again.
Oh,
so
the beers.
What's on tap?
Well, we're a pub. So you've got to have your basics, your Newcastle, Boddingtons, Guinness. So we have any beers that you would expect to reasonably have in a pub when you walk in. Pale ale from Firestone Brewery, We have Stone IPA or Green Flash IPA. I changed that one out. Boddington's Guinness are always popular, perennially popular. Blue Moon is a crazily popular beer, although I can't drink it myself. Had an unfortunate incident with Blue Moon in China a number of years back. So
Does that have to stay in China? Or?
no, just the smell of it. It puts me right up. It was a
Yeah.
China story. I was over there doing business back in 1999, 2000, I think, and happened to do some business in a pub in Beijing, and there was a Blue Moon promotion with the Blue Moon Chinese Blue Moon girls and one thing and another. And it's not like a promotion in America where they're limited what they can actually give you. It was just crazy. There was Blue Moon flowing everywhere, and we had our fill of it and then some. And so the Great Wall of China didn't look quite as good the next day as it would have the previous day. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Even the smell of it now reminds me of a fantastic night, but not a great morning.
So what's next on your bucket list? You have, well, I don't know if it's a bucket list. You have children, and
I do have two kids, yeah. I've got my oldest daughter's in Australia at the moment on a semester abroad. She goes to the University of San Diego, 4.0, Dean's List, very proud of her. My youngest daughter just graduated from Nordhoff, top 10 of her class, and she's off to Berkeley. Next spring, they have two intakes, fall and spring. She's in the spring intake, so she'll be home for a few more months, which I'm really happy about. With regard to the Jester, just keep trying to move it forward in one way or another. With regard to myself, I like to try and do things for charity as well. So I don't know if you know, a few years ago, I did a marathon on rollerblades up and down Main Street. I lived in Japan for a long time, and there was a tsunami in Japan that killed a whole bunch of people. So the first thing, I was in the bar when it happened, and it was on TV, and my wife called me and told me to change the channel. And it was devastating. So the first thing I did was pick the phone up and call my friends in Japan, in that area where that was happening. And they were fine, but I felt obliged to do something. And so we actually cut a CD in here with a load of different artists, which I'll get a copy of that to you. Raised about $5,000 or $6,000 that day. And as part of that, I try and find something different to raise money with. So I strapped on the rollerblades, which I hadn't worn in years, and I went from outside the Jester here up to the traffic lights outside Azu and back. And I can't remember how far it is. It may be a quarter of a mile, but we measured it, so I did 26 miles on my rollerblades, which took significantly longer than I thought it would take. Nearly killed me, and that was fantastic. So the next thing I want to do, which I'll probably do before the end of the summer, I would hope, is I want to ride across America, but around Ojai. And so I've got some friends who are very good with the internet and tech savvy, and they reckon they can set me up with a little device that will say that I'm in Utah when I'm actually on Grand Street. And I'll just take a lap around Grand Street and up Montgomery around the back, and back down to Grand here. And I'll do that for as long as it takes to ride across America. And I'll do that for epilepsy, I think. There's a young girl in town who has a significant problem with epilepsy. And so if we can raise awareness of that, then that's what we shall do. More stage work, I think, and it'll be fun. I figure it'll take me about 30 days to ride across America around Ojai.
Well, we're not going to turn the cameras towards the art, but some pictures will show. You have your walls covered with art, including, of course, one of yourself.
We do. We do.
So tell us about Dwayne is the artist.
Yeah, Dwayne Els is a fantastic gentleman. His son is actually an actor as well. He's in Fiddler on the Roof too. Dwayne, and I hope that you'll show some of these.
Oh, yes.
He's a regular in here. And George, who's that picture there, is also a regular, and he showed me what Dwayne had done on his iPhone. And it was amazing. And a few months later, Dwayne asked me, "Can I paint you?" I said, "Sure," because I knew it was going to come out well. And that's where it stayed for a little while. So then he took a bunch of pictures of me, and I said, "Look, if you're going to paint me, I need to pay you for it." He says, "No, there's going to be no payment." So well, in that case, we'll have a show for you in the bar. Now, I hadn't seen any of his pictures, but I knew the quality of that one. He said, "Well, I'll bring some in and just show you. Just make sure you want to do it." So we looked at them, they're incredible. And he said, "Well, how much space will you give me? This much?" I said, "No, you can have the whole place." He had never shown his work before. He would paint these incredible pictures and leave them in his garage. And so he was nervous, he's a very humble guy. And he didn't really want to do it. And I said, "Well, in that case, you're not going to paint me." he succumbed to my charms. He painted me twice, as a matter of fact. The first one he threw away, had 100 hours in it. He didn't like it. So then he painted the current one on the wall, which it really captures my essence. If you've been in here when we're busy and you see I get focused, and that really is me. And so we got him in the newspapers, Ojai Quarterly magazine, which is Brett Bradigan's magazine. We got him in the newspapers, and we had an official reception in here. My picture, the Jester, was covered up in a black sheet, and we had wine and food, and we uncovered it at 8 o'clock. And I have to be honest, it brought tears to my eyes. I've never had anybody do anything like that for me before, and I didn't quite know how I was going to react because I'd never seen it. And you want to like it, and it's incredible. It's an absolutely amazing picture. And all of these things, if you look in the eyes, they're all telling a story, and mine's no different. And I couldn't thank him enough for that. Incredible guy.
Well, Nigel, thank you for sharing your life with us, and really I'm hoping that people understand that this is how we put meaning into our lives. You've recorded with Jonathan McEwen, you've got the art, you've got the bar, but you really add a lot to this town in terms of what happens here. One of the things we talked about earlier is you're kind of the last man standing too. It's really making an economic go of a restaurant in this town, which is so tourist bound, is pretty difficult. So thank you for really injecting all the things that your local needs to keep up its customers.
Well, I appreciate that, but the city gives me and the people give me much more than I give them, and I'll respond to whoever comes in here, yourself as well, and I'll just carry on trying to do the best I can do.
Oh. Well, Nigel, thank you so much for sharing your bar. Ventura, it's time for you to come out here to Ojai, and maybe if someone needs some funds raised for Niger, for Pasta Pacifico, or we'll get Nigel, I don't know, skating all the way back to China. So Ventura, it's time for you to get moving. Welcome back. I'm here with Mike Robinson from VACE. Mike, you were behind the camera just a minute ago. Tell me the kinds of things that VACE has given you as tools, and what brought you there to begin with?
What brought me there to begin with is I had a friend that was actually going through a different program. He was in the CAD program. They have a bunch of different programs over there. I went in there for computer program repair, basically. Then I saw the studio program and kind of fell in love. Ended up going down talking to Terry. He's the instructor, Terry Weezer, and yeah, man, he just showed me everything that they have there, and I just started playing with it, and it's a lot of fun. The computer work that we do with all the post-production, we do Final Cut Pro 7, we do After Effects, which is one of my favorite, actually. So I'm just learning a lot of the computer programs and just having a blast with it, just like I did a few minutes ago when I was filming you.
What always helps to have a project. Are you working on a project now in terms of the filming and the editing? And
my own project, I am. I'm working with my friend. His name is Jimmy Solis. He's handicapped. He was riding a dirt bike. He was trying to be Supercross. He was getting sponsored and everything, and he went over a triple jump and overshot it and ended up breaking his back. And they told him he'd never walk again, maybe 1-2% chance, and he's actually starting to walk again. He's got movement in one of his legs and feeling down to his toes and stuff in one. The other one's starting to move a lot. And so we're gonna, next couple of years, we're gonna follow him, and he'll be walking down the red carpet hopefully one day. So.
Well, I really look forward. I think we're going to try and come up with kind of some intermediate stuff on him. What other projects are you working on? Will you be the editor for this segment, behind the camera? And
I'm not sure if I'm going to do this one because I'm in front of the camera. I don't know if I want to watch myself in post. But yeah, we have plenty of projects. We just did one the other day with Terry was actually in front of the camera, so I might edit that one because it's a really nice program, or a really nice video that we did for him. So, and we also have Tim. He's our other instructor in there that helps us out a lot. Tim Oglesby. So and, he does all the technical stuff. He teaches us how to use the cameras and stuff like that. And that's how I learned how to do what I was doing a little bit ago.
Well, how did you hear about VACE to begin with, and how are you paying the tuition?
The tuition, I actually have a grant. I got 2 grants from the school, Pell grants from the government, actually. The school helped me get them, you know, the counselors and everything, which are great. All the counselors up front are great. And yeah, that's was basically paying. I ended up paying about $35 for the class that I'm going through right now. And like I said, it was a mutual friend, or a friend that was going through the CAD program, and he told me about it. He said, you should go check it out. It's an amazing school. And I only live about a half hour from there, so went and checked it out. Next thing you know, signed up and I'm in. So.
Well, once you're done with your training, what do you see yourself doing?
Hopefully doing post-production. I really enjoy doing the post, you know, but I'm still going to do my own projects on the side and, you know, maybe do some YouTube fun stuff, try to, you know, just get my name out there and see what I could actually accomplish.
Do you know what any of the other students have done after they've graduated?
Not too. I know one of them, she ended up getting a job editing. I think she's doing caption, like closed caption, or she's changing the captions and stuff on the bottom. I'm not too sure. They usually call it a lower third. I can't remember what she's doing. I used to know somebody that went there years ago too, and he's bounced around and done a couple of different post-production jobs. But.
I know at KEYT will oftentimes suck up graduates, and
yeah, and CAPS does a lot of stuff too for the school, from what I understand. So,
and Kurt Tauscher, we've been involved with him with when they have a military exercise in Port Hueneme, they're hanging out of helicopters and running down tunnels with you know, who knows if it's live ammunition or not. So it's been great talking to you. I look forward to your work on the other side of the camera too, but I really want to hear this story of your friends. So Ventura, it's time for you to get moving to VACE. You'd be surprised at how you can be supported in your education, and time to give them a call. So Ventura, time for you to get moving.